Could the Conservative Party seriously consider welcoming Rupert Lowe into its fold? It's a question that, even a year ago, would have seemed preposterous, laughable, even. Yet here we are, in a political landscape so fractured, so devoid of a firm ideological backbone, that the mere idea is floated with not just seriousness, but with strategic subtlety. Make no mistake, the willingness to entertain a figure like Lowe, suspended by Reform UK under a cloud of serious allegations and infamous for his incendiary rhetoric, is not a sign of political flexibility. It is a damning indictment of a party struggling to distinguish desperation from ambition. The Conservative Party is not just flirting with disaster, it's toying with the political equivalent of self-immolation. Rupert Lowe may claim to represent a tough, uncompromising strand of politics, but the reality is far murkier. The accusations against him, while still unproven, are not minor PR flubs or ideological faux pas. They concern threats of violence, harassment, and bullying, allegations that would, in any self-respecting political structure, be a red line. Yet the message from Tory leadership, wrapped in layers of plausible deniability and vague principle, is clear: if you're ideologically useful, the door is ajar. This kind of opportunism isn't just morally bankrupt, it's strategically suicidal. The Conservative Party has spent the better part of the last decade attempting to rebuild credibility amid the chaos of Brexit, Partygate scandals, leadership coups, and economic turbulence. Welcoming a figure synonymous with political volatility, who openly derided the Tories as a party deserving of destruction, would obliterate what remains of that hard-earned trust. It's not simply about optics. It's about values, or the glaring absence thereof. Nigel Huddlestone's comment that anybody who signs up to conservative values and principles is welcome raises an uncomfortable but necessary question. What, in 2025, do conservative values even mean? If the bar is low enough to accommodate someone like Lowe, who not only burned bridges with Reform UK but poured gasoline on the ashes, then it suggests the party no longer stands for principle but for survival. And survival without purpose is not politics, it's parasitism. One cannot ignore the sheer hypocrisy of the situation. Rupert Lowe did not merely diverge from Tory thinking, he actively championed an opposing cause. He lambasted the party's existence. He aligned himself with those whose raison d'etre was to dismantle the Conservatives from the inside out. And now, with his political fortunes faltering, he eyes the very institution he once scorned, not out of conviction, but out of convenience. That the Tories are even considering reciprocating this opportunism signals a complete moral collapse. There is no red line, only red carpets for those who prove politically expedient. To be clear, this is not a defense of ideological purity for its own sake. Politics is about pragmatism, but not at the cost of integrity. The Conservative Party must ask itself, what kind of movement does it wish to be? One that draws a hard line between bold conservatism and reckless populism? Or one that grovels at the feet of anyone who can bring a few headlines, a social media bump, or a false aura of outsider authenticity? By even entertaining Lowe, the party risks alienating not just moderates, but core voters who still believe in decency, accountability, and leadership grounded in conviction rather than chaos. These are not abstract ideals. They are the glue holding together a conservative identity that, without careful protection, could splinter into irrelevance. Moreover, there is a deep insult embedded in all this, to the women involved in the allegations. While due process must always prevail, the cavalier attitude towards serious accusations signals a horrifyingly outdated tolerance for misconduct if political gain is on the table. What message does that send to staffers, activists, or even MPs who demand higher standards of behavior? That political utility trumps ethical accountability? That alleged intimidation and harassment are just speed bumps on the road to reinvention? The Conservative Party needs to stop treating defectors like Lowe as political assets and start treating them as liabilities until proven otherwise. There is no long-term gain in enabling those who abandon principle for visibility. The road back to trust is not paved with rebrands and rehabilitations of troubled figures. It is forged through consistency, clarity, and courage. What is most troubling in all this is the silence of many senior Tories. If the idea of welcoming Rupert Lowe into the party doesn't provoke a loud, unanimous rebuke from MPs and ministers, then the rot is deeper than most would admit. Leadership is not about hedging bets or keeping doors ajar just in case. It is about standing firm, especially when it's politically inconvenient. This is not just about one man, one controversy, or one misstep. It's about whether the Conservative Party still knows who it is. If it opens the door to Rupert Lowe, it may find that what walks in is not just a man, but the death of its own credibility. And once that line is crossed, there is no long-term path back.